All right, so we got the 373 spoilers, and it's looking like what we've been talking about these last couple weeks is actually happening, like really happening, almost the exact way that we thought it would, surprisingly. And it's pretty exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. But before we get into the spoilers, let me just go over what had happened at the end of the previous chapter. So Spinner was able to break away from fighting with Shoji, and he actually broke into the hospital where Kurogiri was being held, and he managed to make it all the way to where Kurogiri was. But the heteromorph army that was following him decided to just stop and stay behind because they realized the error in their ways. And as he was making it to Kurogiri, Present Mike was as well. And at the end, we saw both of them kind of going after Kurogiri. Spinner trying to play the recording with the commands of All for One or Shigaraki on there, which would then activate Kurogiri. But Present Mike, on the other hand, was going to try to use, I don't know, like the power of friendship or something and try to bring Shirakumo out of him possibly. But that brings us to the beginning of this chapter where we're cutting away from that momentarily because we see Shoji as he remembers Mike saying that he was about to enter the hospital and asking not to let anyone else through. A mutant is about to attack him, but the pigman we saw in the previous chapter holds a weapon before it hits Shoji. The Paranormal Liberation Front general tells them not to stop and to keep following their spokesman. The pigman says that he has suffered from discrimination multiple times and that just thinking about it makes his blood boil. So he was thrilled when he heard Spinner's call to action. He felt that someone was finally speaking for them and that it was time to strike back on this world full of prejudice and taciturn people. But as he listened to Shoji's words, he realized that there was also good people in this world, that he doesn't know everyone. The general starts to despair, saying that the plan was perfect, but the octopus ruined it. Some other mutants tell them to keep marching, but the pigman isn't over. He doesn't know how he should have acted. Was he supposed to keep quiet and do nothing? So yeah, as I was saying, as Spinner was breaking into the hospital, he did have some heteromorphs with them. But they saw all of the doctors and the nurses like standing united, trying to protect the patients from them and whatnot. And this had a big effect on them. But also coming into the hospital, Shoji was trying to get through to all of them as well, or as many as he could. You know, basically telling them like, hey, we've all been discriminated against, you know, being heteromorphs. And if anybody has had like a tragic backstory due to this, it's definitely me. We don't have to be as bad as those who have wronged us. We can be better than them. And we can start by stopping what we're doing right now, especially not breaking into this hospital full of innocent people, you know, especially like sick people and wounded people. And it finally got through to most of them, or this one big man that we saw in the previous chapter. We're going to see that this has ramifications going forward for sure. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Ridge Wallet. So guys, I know a lot of you probably don't have the best wallet game right now, but that's where Ridge comes in. Ridge makes these awesome minimalistic slim wallets that also have RFID blocking. This is the matte black titanium version. So the Ridge Wallet holds up to 12 cards and they easily slide in just like this. It's so smooth, and it has a little notch at the bottom to bring them out even smoother. It also has a cash strap on the back, easily put in your cash, and it stays secure. But Ridge also has key holders. Just like the Ridge Wallet, this thing has a nice weight to it, super sturdy. This is the gunmetal version, and it just holds my keys like a dream, guys. I love this thing so much. It even holds my gym membership, which is awesome. But aside from what I have, they also have over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The wallets also have over 50,000 five-star reviews. So guys, if you're interested in getting yourself a Ridge wallet and a key holder, check out the link in the description or go to ridge.com/Big Z, because right now you're going to be able to save up to 40% through December 22nd. So again, that's ridge.com/Big Z. Thanks guys. Shoji says that their protest was neither a mistake nor a waste of time. This is when a hero says that the mutant's words resonated with him and apologizes for using violence to stop them. All those who spoke their feelings and beliefs were shining brightly. Shoji tells them to use this light to change society, to make those who are prejudiced feel ashamed to even consider raising their fists against mutants. Rocklock then realizes that the protesters have finally stopped. So yeah, I guess that's going to be the end of at least this portion of the war. Big heteromorphic army, which wasn't all Paranormal Liberation Front members. Actually, a small portion of it was. It was mainly like civilians that they were able to manipulate into joining their cause, which they made it seem like it was for the benefit of all of them, being discriminated against and whatnot. But like I said, it's just all for one, who was even pulling the strings of the Paranormal Liberation Front general guy here. But Shoji in the end was able to get through to them, and this is like Shoji talk no jutsuing like hundreds if not thousands of people at once. Like, this might be a record. Cut back to the hospital. Mike shoots a wave in Kurogiri's direction and knocks down Spinner. His voice damages the device with All for One and Tomura's recording. Spinner realizes this, but is still laying on the ground. Mike keeps running towards Kurogiri. Spinner is out of strength. His body has shrinked and he can no longer move a finger. This is when he realizes what else fell to the ground besides the device. One of Shigaraki's hands, the one that Spinner put in his face at the end of the last war. Spinner then starts reflecting. No one wants to follow him, and he won't be able to wake up Kurogiri. He let himself be carried away by the moment and went into battle with his followers, but all he really wanted was to be able to reach Shigaraki. Mike realizes that Spinner hasn't stood up and begins an internal monologue, telling Shirakumo that Aizawa has lost an eye and a leg. That's why he can't lose his good memory. If he is no longer Shirakumo, the best thing is for him to disappear and stay as a good memory. But if you really are Shirakumo, then Mike is about to finish the sentence and say something out loud, but Spinner finally stands up while remembering all of his moments with Tomura. He puts the hand on Kurogiri's face and says, "Let's go save Shigaraki and the others." Kurogiri then breaks free and holds Shigaraki's hand with his mist. We can see some of Shirakumo's traits on his face, like a pupil and the bandage on his nose, but he says, "I am the one who protects Tomura Shigaraki." Spinner passes out. End of chapter. So yeah, like I said, it's happening. So first of all, Spinner has like regressed to his normal form here, which is interesting. I guess being able to be giant and having the scale armor has like a stamina aspect to it, and he exhausted it, so he's just reverted back to normal here. But I don't know if his like seemingly brain damage from having multiple quirks has recessed as well. I mean, he's thinking somewhat clearly, you know, he's having like power of friendship with Shigaraki, which allowed him to do what he's doing here, putting that old hand onto Kurogiri, which reactivated him. So that's interesting. I didn't expect that little part to happen, but it's still getting to the point of where Spinner has successfully reactivated Kurogiri here. But interestingly enough, he's also like part Shirakumo here as well, saying that, you know, he has the traits on his face, the pupil and the bandage. So this goes into the other thing I was talking about. Despite him breaking out of here, which I'll get into, but it seems like this will ultimately end with Kurogiri like reverting back to Shirakumo and eventually aid them in the end. But for now, Kurogiri is the dominant personality, and he's going to use his warping ability to break Shigaraki out of UA, where he is currently trapped, getting beaten down by Izuku. And I assume that like when we get back to UA, Izuku will be very close to, if not already reaching, his exhaustion limit with using gear shift, because the second user said you only have like 5 minutes to be able to use this ability because of how crazy it is. So either that's going to happen and he's going to pass out, or Kurogiri is going to just get Shigaraki / All for One out of there and then he's going to pass out. Either way, we're going to go into like the next stage of this war here, because it even says here, like, note at the end of the chapter says Kurogiri joins the battle, the war reaches a new stage. Like, the new stage will be Izuku is out of action for a while and Shigaraki / All for One is going to be free to use their full power, because once they're out of UA, Aizawa and Monoma won't be able to erase their quirks anymore. So yeah, things are about to get super interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. Let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.